Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We are continuing our reading from Srimad Bhagavatam this morning of Sunday on Sudama's pastime with Krishna. And yesterday we were reading how Krishna and Sudama had very intimate relationship. Krishna considered Sudama his friend, and in that friendly relationship, the deep bhakti of Sudama was being described by Shukadeva Goswami. And not only that, Krishna performed this pastime to also indicate how Krishna relates with his devotees, irrespective of their material condition. And devotion is supreme. And how Krishna desires to serve his own devotees. He loves his devotees with everything he has with him. So this relationship of Krishna with Sudama is spoken about a lot, especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So yesterday we saw how Sudama was welcomed by Krishna and how Krishna accorded to him the best of receptions due to a brahmana from a grahastha, and it was very opulent, and how everybody in the palace, including Rukmini, Lakshmi, was completely stunned watching the way Krishna was relating with Sudama, and she herself personally started fanning with the chamara Sudama, watching how her husband Krishna was performing services. So Krishna was actually holding the hands of Sudama very affectionately like a dear friend, and they were going down memory lane, going down their previous brahmachari life, in the previous ashrama brahmachari life, how they studied in Sandipuni Muni's ashram. And then after some discussions, Krishna inquired about his wife with an intention of reminding Sudama that you have brought something for me, please give it. But Sudama obviously was not intending to exhibit that very poor, very small, very, very kinchit karoti, small service and gift that he had brought, and he was feeling highly self-conscious to exhibit that so-called service that he could do for Krishna in the light of the many, many things that Krishna was doing for him in his huge palace. It was definitely out of place, and it was not something that he could easily come up with. So I'm reading today again from a text, Canto 10, chapter 80, text 37. Shuryascha astam gatasthavat tamasa chavrita dishah nimnam kulam jalamayam na prajna yata kinchana. Then as the sun set, the forest was covered by darkness in every direction, and with all the flooding, we could not distinguish high land from low. So Krishna is describing how they both got stuck, having gone into the forest long back and to do some seva for their guru. They got stuck, and there was, rain and storm and wind, and they were hiding and taking shelter in the forest in the hollow of some tree, and they were very disturbed. And the whole night they spent in the forest. But the next morning, Sandipuni Muni came in search of them. Etat vididva udite ravo sandipanir guruhu anveshamano nah sishyan acharyo apashyat aturan. Our Guru Sandipani, understanding our predicament, set out after sunrise to search for us, his disciples, and found us in distress. Aho he putrakayuyam asmat arthe atidhukkitaha Atma vai praninam preshtastam anadritya matparaha. Sandipani said, "O my children, you have suffered so much for my sake. The body is most dear to every living creature, but you are so dedicated to me that you completely disregarded your own comfort." Right? The Guru's acknowledging the service of his two disciples. So in this way, Sandipani Muni is recognizing their service, and Krishna, this indeed is the duty of all true disciples, to repay the debt to their spiritual master by offering him with pure hearts their wealth and even their very lives. Very important instruction Krishna is giving. So Sandipani Muni is glorifying them. You boys are first class brahmanas, and I'm satisfied with you. May all your desires be fulfilled, and may the Vedic mantras you have learned never lose their meaning for you in this world or the next. So somebody is going to ask, when they got this type of a blessing from his Guru, why is he poverty stricken? Why is Sudama poverty stricken? Why Krishna has got the blessings and he's in a better material position? But if you look at the blessings, the ultimate blessings anybody was seeking at those times was what Sudama got, and he was not hankering for anything else. Sudama got the understanding of the Vedic literature implanted in him by the blessings of his Guru, and that's why he went to Gurukula to get the essence of the Vedas, to get the essence of all these instructions, and that was to be a devotee of Krishna, and that's what he was, irrespective of his material situation. So Sudama did not lament anything more in his life. Ittam vidhani anekani vasatam guru veshamani gurur anugrahaneva puman purnah prashantaye. Lord Krishna continued, we had many similar experiences while living in our spiritual master's home. Simply by the grace of the spiritual master, a person can fulfill life's purpose and attain peace. How important is Guru? How important is Guru's blessing? How important is pleasing the Guru? And how the Guru is not some cheap person that you can please him by just giving some material stuff. How the Guru is genuinely placed when you make progress in spiritual life. These are all very important things that we can learn. Sri Brahmana Vacha Kim Asmabhir Anivrattam Deva Deva Jagat Guru bhavatā satyakamena yesham vaso guru rabhut. Sudama, the Brahmana, said, what could I possibly have failed to achieve, O Lord of Lords, O universal teacher, since I was able to personally live with you, whose every desire is fulfilled at the home of our spiritual master? What more do I need? See, Sudama is satisfied with just what is supposed to be the main goal of life. This is a great satisfaction. Material satisfaction is one thing. We are told that we should remain satisfied. But to be satisfied with Krishna consciousness is the real wealth. Purport: Sudama Brahmana wisely understands his extraordinary good fortune of having lived with Sri Krishna at the residence of their spiritual master. Thus, whatever external difficulties they experienced were actually an expression of the Lord's mercy to teach the importance of service to the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada renders the learned Brahmana's feelings as follows. This commentary is written by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada after he passed away. My dear Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Spiritual Master of everyone, and since I was fortunate enough to live with you in the house of a Guru, I think I have nothing more to do in the matter of prescribed Vedic duties. That's the purport. Yasya chandomayam brahma deva avapanam vipo Shreyasam tasya gurushu vaso atyanta vidambanam. O Almighty Lord, your body comprises the absolute truth in the form of the Vedas and is thus the source of all auspicious goals of life. That you took up residence at the school of a spiritual master is simply one of your pastimes in which you play the role of a human being. So, in this way, their conversation goes ahead. And Lord Hari, Krishna, perfectly knows the hearts of all living beings and is especially devoted to the brahmanas, while the Supreme Lord, the goal of all saintly person, conversed in this way with the best of the twice born. He laughed and spoke the following words to that dear friend of his, the Brahmana Sudama, all the while smiling and looking upon him with affection. Purport. According to Sridhara Swami, the words Sarvabhuta Mano Abhijñā indicate that since Lord Krishna knows the minds of everyone, he could tell at once that his friend Sudama had brought some flat rice for him and was ashamed to present it. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, further explanation of this verse, Lord Krishna smiled at this moment thinking, yes, I'm going to make you show what you have brought for me. His smile then turned to laughter as he thought, how long are you going to keep the precious gift hidden in your cloth? Krishna glanced towards the bundle hidden inside his friend's garment, telling Sudama by his loving glance, the veins showing through your emaciated skin and your ragged clothes astonish everyone present. But these symptoms of poverty will last only until tomorrow morning. Although Lord Krishna is Bhagavan, the Supreme Independent Lord, he is always pleased to reciprocate with those who are Priya, his cherished servants. As the indulgent patron of the Brahmana class, he especially enjoys favoring Brahmanas who are additionally qualified by unconditional devotion to him. So this is what's happening. Krishna is now getting ready to receive the gift from him. The preliminaries are over. He has socialized with him. He has expressed, because his friend. You see, Sudama is not just an ordinary friend. Bandhu, Mitra, Suhrd. 3 types, Prabhupada explains. Bandhu means a casual friend. You know him, I know you, and we just not gone very deeply understanding each other, but hi, bye, and sweet, simple things, etc. Bandhu. Mitra means a little deeper. He knows something about me. He, listens to me, and he spends time, and he sometimes helps me out financially, morally, ethically, and he actually does certain things for me. But Suhrd, he goes beyond. Suhrd is something that Krishna's friendship deals with. Suhrdam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantim richati. Understanding that Krishna is the real well-wishing friend of everybody, we become very peaceful and happy. Right? So what is the meaning of that? Suhrd. Like Arjuna is a friend of Krishna, Sakhya. It's not in that rasa relationship that's being mentioned, though it may be like that also. But Suhrd means a very deep friend. You can say anything in front of that friend. He'll never mistake you. You can fight with him. You can have difference of opinion with him. He knows you well in and out. He knows you very deeply. He knows you very deeply. So if you have such a relationship with the Lord, a Suhrd relationship with the Lord, then that becomes Sakhya Rasa. Right? So here is a little different type of a friendship than what you see with Arjuna, than you see with cowherds. So he's a grahastha, and there is a mature friendship between 2 grahasthas. And one is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, another is his devotee. And still, he can be Suhrd, friend. So now Krishna is saying, my dear friend, why are you feeling ashamed? I am your good friend. Suhrdam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantim richati. Don't feel shy giving that. In fact, I'm waiting to receive it from you. Doesn't matter if it's a little dirty. Doesn't matter if the cloth is like that. Doesn't matter if the flat rice is old and dried up. Doesn't matter if it even smells a bit. I am simply waiting to take the devotional sentiment from it. Patram phalam toyam pushpam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upāhṛtaṁ ashnāmi prayatātmanah. Bhakti. I am waiting for that. All other things are immaterial. Right? So you don't have to feel all these things. The fact that your wife has given this and the fact that you have carried it all the way with great desire to give it to me, right? That counts. So, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kim upāyanam ānītaṁ brahman me bhavatā gṛhāt anva abhi upāhṛtaṁ bhaktaiḥ premṇā bhūry eva me bhavet bhūryapi abhaktopahṛtaṁ name toṣāya kalpate. He's dropping now a bigger hint. First he said, is your wife okay? So that he will remember that, oh, my wife has given a gift for you. Sudama did not respond. Then he spoke for some time, socialized everything. Now he's directly asking, did you bring any gift for me? Actually, nobody normally asks such a statement to a guest who has come to your home. Did you bring any gift for me? Of course, he has brought the gift of exposing his bhakti. But this is what Krishna is asking. So it's very, very interesting. Translation, the Supreme Lord said, O Brahmana, what gift have you brought for me from home? I regard as great even the smallest gift offered by my devotees in pure love. But even great offerings presented by non-devotees do not please me. Krishna is giving a hint, don't worry if that, flat rice is like this or like that, because I regard it very great. I want it because it's filled with bhakti. I don't even accept all the great opulent offerings given by people to me without bhakti. So he's making it very clear. I will definitely be very interested in whatever gift you give me. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upāhṛtaṁ ashnāmi prayatātmanah. That shloka is repeated here from the Bhagavad Gita. Iti yukto api divyastasmai vridhita pataye shriyah prituka prashrishtim rajan prayachat avan mukah. Shukadeva Goswami continued, even after being addressed in this way, O king, the Brahmana felt too embarrassed to offer his palmfuls of flat rice to the husband of the goddess of fortune. He simply kept his head bowed in shame. So you can understand the feelings of Sudama. Purport, according to Acharya Vishwanatha Chakravarti, the description here of Krishna as the husband of goddess of fortune implies that Sudama questioned himself, how can the Lord of Shri eat this hard, stale rice? By bowing his head, the Brahmana revealed his meditation. My dear master, please do not make me ashamed. Even if you request it from me repeatedly, I will not give this to you. I have made up my mind. But the Lord countered with his own thought. The intention you had fixed in your mind while coming here must not be frustrated, for you are my devotee. This is what's happening inside. And that is examined by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Sudama is determining, I'll not give this. This is, too difficult for me. And Krishna is determining, I will get it from you. Sarva bhutatma drikshakshat tasya gamana karanam Vignaya chintayannayam shikamo ma bhajatpura patnyayaha patnivratyastu sakapriya chikirshaya prapto mamasya dasyami sampado amartya durlabha. Being the direct witness in the heart of all living beings, Lord Krishna fully understood why Sudama had come to see him. Thus he thought, in the past, my friend has never worshipped me out of a desire for material opulence. But now he comes to me to satisfy his chaste and devoted wife. I will give him riches that even the immortal demigods cannot obtain. Another determination Krishna has got. He never asked me for anything material. Right? But I know why he's come. What his wife has told him. And therefore, this is my opportunity to serve Sudama. I am going to give him riches. I am going to give him such opulence and wealth that even Indra will become disturbed. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that the Lord momentarily wondered, how has it come about, despite my omniscience, that this devotee of mine has fallen into such poverty? Then, quickly understanding the situation, he spoke to himself the words related in this verse. But someone may point out that Sudama should not have been so poverty-stricken, since appropriate enjoyment comes as a byproduct of service to God, even for a devotee who has no ulterior motives. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.22. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaः paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. In response to this point, a distinction must be made between two kinds of renounced devotees. One kind is inimical to sense gratification and the other is indifferent to it. The Supreme Lord does not force sense gratification upon the devotee who is extremely averse to worldly enjoyments. This is seen among such great renouncers as Jada Bharata. On the other hand, the Lord may give limitless wealth and power to a devotee who is neither repelled nor attracted by material things, such as Prahlad Maharaj. Up to this point in his life, Sudama Brahmana was totally averse to sense gratification. But now, out of compassion for his faithful wife, and also because he hankered to have Krishna's audience, he went to beg from the Lord. So very interesting. Itham vichintya vasanach chira bhaddham dvijanmanah swayam jaharakim idam iti prutuka tandulan. Thinking like this, the Lord snatched from the Brahmana's garment the grains of flat rice tied up in an old piece of cloth and exclaimed, "What is this?" Right. Nanve tadupanitam me parama prinanam sake tarpayanti angamam vishwam ete pratukatandula. My dear friend, have you brought this for me? It gives me extreme pleasure. Indeed, these few grains of flat rice will satisfy not only me, but also the entire universe. Krishna finally did it. He snatched it out of Sudama because he knew Sudama is not going to give it. So he took advantage of being the host and he snatched it out of him. You have brought something for me and you think you're not going to give it to me and I'm going to keep quiet? Definitely I'm going to enjoy that reciprocation from you. Although you are shy, I am not shy. And he just pulled it out of him. Right? Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is understood from this statement that Krishna, being the original source of everything, is the root of the entire creation. As watering the root of a tree immediately distributes water to every part of the tree, so an offering made to Krishna or any action done for Krishna is to be considered the highest welfare work for everyone. Because the benefit of such an offering is distributed throughout the creation, love for Krishna becomes distributed to all living entities. Iti mushtim sakrijit jagdhya dvidiyam jagdhumadade tavat shrir jagre hastam tatpara parameshtina. After saying this, the Supreme Lord ate one palmful and was about to eat a second when the devoted goddess Rukmini took hold of his hand. Purport. Queen Rukmini took hold of Krishna's hand to prevent him from eating any more of the flat rice. According to Sripad, the Sridhara Swami, with this gesture, she meant to tell the Lord, this much of your grace is sufficient to assure anyone vast riches, which are merely the play of my clans. But please do not force me to surrender myself to this Brahmana, as will happen if you eat one more handful. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that by taking hold of the Lord's hand, Rukmini implied, if you eat all of this wonderful treat your friend brought from his house, what will I have left for my friends, co-wives, servants, and myself? There will not be enough left to distribute even one grain to each of us. And to her maidservant companions, she said by her gesture, "This hard rice will upset my Lord's tender stomach." Srila Prabhupada comments that when food is offered to Lord Krishna with love and devotion, and he is pleased and accepts it from the devotee, Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune, becomes so greatly obliged to the devotee that she has to personally go to the devotee's home to turn it into the most opulent home in the world. If one feeds Narayana sumptuously, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, automatically becomes a guest in one's house, which means that one's home becomes opulent. So wonderful. So Lakshmi is actually preventing Krishna from eating further and saying, "I'll have to go to his house if you eat more, and look after him, tend to his house and everything." But this one bit is enough for them. I have seen it and I know it. So Lakshmi is like the financial manager. She's like telling Krishna, don't become too much overcome by your love and by bhakti, because it'll enslave me and I cannot serve you anymore, and that concerns me. So therefore I need to be with you. So my concern is, I am not sent to Sudama's house to do service to him. I like to be with you. So therefore, this is enough. I'll take care of the rest for him. And Prabhupada is commenting that one who cooks for Lord, Supreme Lord, will always have opulence in his house because Lakshmi is obliged. If you cook nicely and if you make Narayana very, very pleased with the offering, then Lakshmi is obliged to make your house opulent. Look at this amazing equation in the backside. So many devotees of the Lord in the Krishna consciousness movement cook feasts, cook wonderful offerings every time during all these Vamana Dvadashi, Rama Navami, Varaha Dvadashi, Narsima Chaturdashi, name it, Janmashtami. They cook wonderful feasts with great love and devotion and offer. And this is how prosperity reigns. Prosperity always reigns by serving Narayana, who is the Lord of Lakshmi. Right? So automatically when we serve Krishna, there is prosperity in this world. We don't have to separately do anything else. We don't even have to worship Lakshmi separately for prosperity. Worshipping Lakshmi alone for prosperity is wrong, actually. You have to worship Narayana, and hence Lakshmi becomes happy with you, right? So this is a very nice, interesting. Etavatalam, etavatalam vishvatman sarva sampat samhridaye asmin loke atavamushmin pumsastvattoshakaranam. Queen Rukmini said, "This is more than enough, O soul of the universe, to secure him an abundance of all kinds of wealth in this world and the next. After all, one's prosperity depends simply on your satisfaction." So Rukmini knows this person has satisfied you immensely. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the Brahmana spent that night in Lord Achyuta's palace. After eating and drinking to his full satisfaction, he felt as if he had gone to the spiritual world. So this is what happened. This is a very important aspect, that Krishna grabbed that from him and he started eating it, and then Lakshmi stopped him halfway. And 3 different reasons given. 1 is enough, I'll have to go to his house. Number 2, if you alone eat it, what about us? We also need a share of it. And 3, right, she was trying to give an instruction to her assistants that if my husband eats this, his stomach will get upset. These 3 different acharyas commentaries have been given. And the main thing is that Krishna has decided to bestow mercy on Sudama's wife and Sudama. And Sudama knows nothing about it much because he's very absorbed in devotion to Krishna. He's enjoying the moment so much in the association of Krishna. And after that, he slept and he ate. He ate and he slept. And the next morning, he actually went back. So bhute vishvabhavena swasukhena bhivanditah jagama swalayam tata pati anavrajya manditah. The next day, Sudama set off for home while being honored by Lord Krishna, the self-satisfied maintainer of the universe. The brahmana felt greatly delighted, my dear king, as he walked along the road. Purport: we are here reminded that Lord Krishna maintains a supply of desirable objects for the whole universe. Therefore, it is to be understood that he was about to manifest for Sudama opulence greater than Indra's. Being Swasukha, perfectly complete in his own bliss, the Lord has an unlimited capacity for bestowing gifts. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, the word Abhivanditaha indicates that Sri Krishna accompanied Sudama on the road for a short distance and finally parted with the brahmana after bowing down to him and speaking some respectful words. So Krishna went out of the palace along the road and sent him away very nicely, very affectionately. And as Sudama went, he knows that he did not receive any wealth from the Lord. He came to get some help. He never spoke about it. And he's not even very concerned what he will tell his wife. He's just completely absorbed in the experience of having associated with Krishna. And it's mentioned here he was too shy to beg for it on his own. He simply returned home, but he was just satisfied because that's what he came for. His original intent was, Ayo hi paramalabho uttama shloka darshanam. Ayam hi paramo labho uttama shloka darshanam means, oh, great profit for me is that I'll be able to see my sweet Lord. And he has got that what he wants. Now he is going to go and face his wife. So Sudama is thinking, and he's appreciating how he has been dealt with. Kwa Krishna daridra papi, kwa ham daridra papiyan, kwa Krishna Sri Niketana, Brahma Bandhuriti smaham bahupyam parirambita. Who am I, a sinful, poor friend of a brahmana? And who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences? Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his 2 arms. So this realization of Sudama. You see, we have to understand every time that when we are trying to be performing devotional service, what are we really doing? You know whom we are dealing with, whom we are trying to relate with. Sudama is understanding that. He's affirming, you know what has happened now? I have come and met the supreme absolute truth, and it has happened, and he has embraced me. And I am a very sinful brahmana, fallen brahmana, and he has embraced me. And you know who he is? Kwa Krishna Sri Niketana. He is the residence of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Brahma Bandhu iti smaham. Although I'm a fallen brahmana, he has embraced me. Bahubhyam parirambitaha. Do you know what has happened? Please understand, he's telling himself. It's no ordinary thing. My coming all the way to Dwaraka, this thing is not an ordinary trip. The best of things have happened to me. It's like going to the spiritual world, personally meeting with the Lord, the absolute truth, embraced by him also on top of it. It's not just you had darshan from a distance. He embraced me. He washed my feet and did all the necessary things he needs to do as a grihasta. And not only that, wow, what favor he bestowed on me. He's relishing, thinking about it all along. His trip back to his house was most eventful because it was filled with memories. And little did he know how fast he was moving because of these memories. And he's thinking about it, how Krishna treated him, right? Nivasitaha priya jushte paryanke bhrataro yata mahishya vijitaha shranto bala vyanjana hastaya. He treated me just like one of his brothers, making me sit on the bed of his beloved consort. And because I was fatigued, his queen personally fanned me with a yak-tail chamara. Although he's the lord of all demigods and the object of worship for all brahmanas, he worshipped me as if I were a demigod myself, massaging my feet and rendering other humble services. So he's recollecting all these things on the way. What a journey he would have had all alone. Devotional service to his lotus feet is the root cause of all the perfections of a person can find in heaven, in liberation, in the subterranean regions, and on earth. Sudama is concluding, thinking, if this poor wretch suddenly becomes rich, he will forget me in this intoxicating happiness. The compassionate Lord did not grant me even a little wealth. Now he's reasoning, because he's saying that, see, I went and Krishna did not give me anything material, did not give me even a little wealth. Because this idiot, this foolish person, he does not know how to handle it. He may lose devotion for me, so he did not give it to me. See, he was thinking very humbly about himself. Purport. Sudama's statement that Lord Krishna bestowed on him not even a little wealth may also be taken to mean that instead of giving wealth that was a bhury, slight, the Lord in fact gave him the immense treasure of his association. This alternate meaning has been suggested by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura. So in this way, Shukadeva Goswami continued, thinking thus to himself, Sudama finally came to the place where his home stood. But that place was now crowded on all sides with towering celestial palaces, rivaling the combined brilliance of the sun, fire, and the moon. There were splendorous courtyards and gardens, each filled with flocks of cooing birds, and beautified by ponds in which Kumuda, Amboja, Kahlara, and Utpala lotuses grew. Finely attired men and doe-eyed women stood in attendance. Sudama wondered, what is all this? Whose property is this? How has this all come about? Evam mimam samam ānītaṁ naranaryo amara prabhuhu pratyagrihana bhagam gītavatyena bhūyasa. As he continued to ponder in this way, the beautiful men and maidservants, as effulgent as demigods, came forward to greet their greatly fortunate master with loud song and instrumental music. You can imagine his surprise. He is gone thinking, I have not got any wealth. He goes and sees everything has changed there because the whole village has become like a big city, palace. And Sudama's house is turned into a palace. And his wife is standing there with so many attendants and everybody. That is even more surprising. Patni udarshati sambhrama nischakrama gṛhāt turnam rupini shrir iva layat. When she heard that her husband had arrived, the Brahmana's wife quickly came out of the house in a jubilant flurry. She resembled the goddess of fortune herself emerging from her divine abode. Srila Sridhara Swami points out, purport, that since Lord Krishna had turned Sudama's house into a heavenly abode, everyone living there now possessed beautiful bodies and attire appropriate to the residents of heaven. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura adds this insight. The night before, Sudama's poor emaciated wife had been sleeping in rags under a crumbling roof. But when she woke in the morning, she found herself and her house wonderfully changed. Only for a moment was she confused. She then realized that this opulence was the Lord's gift to her husband, who must be on his way home. Thus she prepared to greet him. Pativrata patim drishtva premodkhanta shrulochana militakshi annamad buddhaya manasa parishava vaje. When the chaste lady saw her husband, her eyes filled with tears of love and eagerness. As she held her eyes closed, she solemnly bowed down to him, and in her heart she embraced him. Right, it is mentioned that, she had so much devotion for her husband. She was a devotee, pativrata, kalyani, pativrata. And she underwent so much of suffering, never complained. And all she did, the only so-called thing she said was, please go to your friend, Dwaraka, Krishna, whom you always talk about, maybe he can help. That's all. Such a chaste, quiet, wonderful wife she was. And Pativrata, suffering quietly, whatever the condition of her husband was, and continuing to serve him, not complaining, and trying to be cheerful in front of the husband, and giving all that she had to her husband, total dedication. See, this is the meaning of an ideal wife. She knows that her husband is a devotee, and if I serve my husband, I am serving Krishna. And Krishna knows that Sudama's wife is a wonderful devotee, and she serves my devotee Sudama with utmost care and sacrifice. And therefore Krishna is benedicting Sudama's wife, actually, and Sudama, of course. But when Sudama's wife came there, she was so happy for her husband that finally we won't have poverty anymore. And I'm so happy for you, my dear husband, who is such a wonderful devotee. And somehow on the material side of life, you were not doing very good, but now that is filled up. You're both a wonderful devotee and a wonderful husband in terms of material affairs. I waited patiently, knowing that you're my husband and everything is in your hands. I went by your decisions, and it has proven to be the best, because now I have material requirements as I needed, far, far more than I needed, and I can serve you. You're a devotee. Everything is fulfilled. So you can imagine how happy you'll be. Many devotees have this problem with balancing these two. But here, by Krishna's blessing, it's mentioned that Krishna gave Sudama back his old cloth, and he wore his old cloth only and came back. Because people will comment that, see, he went to this house and he's got this type of a new silk veshti and this and that, it doesn't suit him. He didn't give him anything else. So Krishna wanted no comment, it seems. He asked him to wear his old cloth, and he went back in his old cloth, in the same cloth that he came in. So it is the comment given as his wife embraced him mentally. Why she did that? Because she couldn't do it in public. And why she wanted to do that? She knew Krishna has embraced him. I should embrace that body of my husband, which has been embraced by Krishna. This is the chance for me to do that. Even after that opulence, both of them are fixed in Krishna consciousness. That's the great aspect. She is desiring, she knows nobody else but her husband. There's no other thought in her head. And so she is very happy for her husband. Actually, in the modern sense, you should be so angry with your husband. You useless fellow, you couldn't look after me, you don't have money, you don't have a job, you can't look after the kids are suffering. All this is true. But here is an exceptional devotee couple, right? So she desired to embrace her husband, and she did so mentally because Krishna has embraced her. So this is very amazing. And it's mentioned that Sudama discovered the opulence. He immediately became afraid. That's the best portion of it. When the chaste lady saw her husband, her eyes filled. Okay, we read that. Patnim viksha vishpurantim devim vaimanikim iva dasi nam nishkakanti nam madhye bhrantim cha vishmita. Sudama was amazed to see his wife, shining forth in the midst of maidservants adorned with jeweled lockets. She looked as effulgent as a demigoddess in her celestial airplane. What a moment it would have been for Sudama and his wife. The mercy of Krishna coming in the form of material opulence to them. Srila Vishwanath purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that up to now the Supreme Lord had kept the brahmana in his wretched state so that his wife could recognize him. Right? Pritaha swayam taya yuktaha pravishto nijamantiram manistambas shatopetam mahendra bhavanam yatha. With pleasure, he took his wife with him and entered his house, where there were hundreds of gem-studded pillars, just as in the palace of gold of Mahendra. In the Sudama's house were beds as soft and white as foam of milk, with bedsteads made of ivory and ornamented with gold. There were also couches with golden legs, as well as royal chamara fans, golden thrones, soft cushions, and gleaming canopies hung with strings of pearls. Upon the walls of sparkling crystal glass, inlaid with precious emeralds, shone jeweled lamps, and the women in the palace were all adorned with precious gems. As he viewed this luxurious opulence of all varieties, the brahmana calmly reasoned to himself about his unexpected prosperity. Sudama thought, I have always been poor. Certainly the only possible way that such an unfortunate person as myself could become suddenly rich is that Lord Krishna, the supremely opulent chief of the Yadu dynasty, has glanced upon me. After all, my friend Krishna, the most exalted of the Dasharahas and the enjoyer of unlimited wealth, noticed that I secretly intended to beg from him. Thus, even though he said nothing about it when I stood before him, he actually bestowed upon me the most abundant riches. In this way, he acted just like a merciful rain cloud. Kinchit karoti, this is a very nice shloka. Kinchit karoti urvapi yatsvadattam sukrit kritam falguapi bhurikari mayopanitam pratukaika mushtim pratyagrihit pritiyuto mahatma. The Lord considers even his greatest benedictions to be insignificant, while he magnifies even a small service rendered to him by his well-wishing devotee. Thus, with pleasure, the Supreme Soul accepted a single palmful of the flat rice I brought for him. Tasyaiva me Suhrd sakya maitri dasyam punarjanmani janmani syat mahanubhavena gunalayena visajjatastat purusha prasangah. The Lord is the supremely compassionate reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Life after life, may I serve him with love, friendship, and sympathy, and may I cultivate such firm attachment for him by the precious association of his devotees. As explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Suhrdam here indicates affection towards him, who is so compassionate to his devotees. Sakyam is affinity manifested in the desire to live in his company. Maitri is the attitude of intimate comradeship, and Dasyam is the urge to do service. So, to a devotee who lacks spiritual insight, the Supreme Lord will not grant the wonderful opulences of this worldly, kingly power and material assets. Indeed, in his infinite wisdom, the unborn Lord well knows how the intoxication of pride can cause the fall down of the wealthy. So, you see the thoughts of Sudama? He's still thinking of Krishna. He's not going around enjoying his newly found wealth. And not discovering many things and lying on the milk-like, foam-like bed and enjoying it. Thus firmly fixing his determination by means of his spiritual intelligence, Sudama remained absolutely devoted to Lord Krishna, the shelter of all living beings. Free from avarice, he enjoyed together with his wife the sense pleasures that had been bestowed upon him, always with the idea of eventually renouncing all sense gratification. Lord Hari is the God of all gods, the master of all sacrifices and the supreme ruler, but he accepts the saintly brahmanas as his masters, and so there exists no deity higher than them. So in this way, Sudama got settled, and he did not change his devotion, thus seeing how the unconquerable Supreme Lord is nonetheless conquered by his own servants. The Lord's dear brahmana friend felt the remaining knots of material attachment within his heart being cut by the force of his constant meditation on the Lord. In a short time, he attained Lord Krishna's supreme abode, the destination of great saints. So, the Lord always shows brahmanas special favor. Anyone who hears his account of the Supreme Lord's kindness to brahmanas will come to develop love for the Lord and thus become freed from the bondage of material work. So, all glories to all of you who are listening. May Krishna's blessings be on all of you, and may opulence, both material and spiritual, everything be showered on all of you. And may you never forget devotion to Krishna like Sudama. in spite of material opulence or poverty, remain the same like Sudama. Sudama's attitude when he was poverty stricken has not changed when he became so hugely rich. He remained the same because he knows the real wealth is Krishna consciousness. And he was rich, actually very rich, Sudama was, because he possessed bhakti. He possessed bhakti, and Krishna knew that he is a very wealthy person. Bhakti is the greatest of possessions. Devotion is the greatest of possessions. And a person who has bhakti is sought after by Krishna. Krishna becomes his. So, focusing on devotional service to Krishna, keeping these values very high in our life, we should learn lessons from Sudama's life. Never be afraid of a material situation that is challenging. Krishna has a plan. And never be proud because you have some material assets that others don't have. Krishna will take it away, right? And better to depend on Krishna, and he will provide whatever he provides, that we accept. Remaining peaceful in Krishna consciousness, chanting japa, eating prasadam, associating with devotees, and keeping this as our highest values is the safest route. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.